Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission, as always, is to sift through a whole stack of sources and pull out the really key insights for you. Today, we're diving into, well, quite a mix. We've got the explosive world of digital assets, the super complex landscape of geopolitics, and also some fascinating takeaways from the Nutstuff portfolio.
Yeah, the goal is basically to give you that shortcut, to get you really well informed on what's actually moving the needle right now. We'll hit the surprising facts, maybe share a laugh or two.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's unpack this digital asset stuff first. Bitcoin. I mean, the momentum is just incredible. It just hit $121,000.
Yeah, it's staggering.
And think about this. It's up, what, 100% year over year? Go back 10 years, it was like $290.
$290, wow.
That's a 410x increase, which works out to an 83% gain every single year, annualized. And just recently, it actually flipped Amazon in market size.
It's huge. And, a really key thing to think about is how Bitcoin's been like the Lone Ranger for the last 6 months or so, especially after the election.
Right.
It was really carrying the torch, while, frankly, a lot of other cryptos were just sort of languishing. What we seem to be seeing now is what some sources call regime confirmation.
Regime confirmation.
Yeah, it means the market structure looks like it's setting up for real, sustained growth. It's moving past just pure speculation. And there are these signs of a classic bull market expansion.
Oh.
And if history is any guide, that suggests the really explosive part, the most rewarding period for Bitcoin. It might be just about to start. My thinking is if Bitcoin doesn't lead the charge higher, probably nothing else in crypto will either.
And there's a whole philosophy underpinning this price action, isn't there? We looked at one source arguing that Bitcoin is the only technology I am aware of that can solve the universal problem of currency debasement.
Shared by billions of people.
Exactly. It draws that comparison to gold historically, but points out gold isn't really practical in our, digital world. So it positions Bitcoin as, and this is a quote, humanity's best bet to lift billions of people out from underneath the tyrannical overreach of central banks and governments.
Strong words.
Very strong. And the Nutstuff guys, they have a really strong take here too. They basically say ignoring Bitcoin, dismissing it as just a fad or whatever, that's not being skeptical. It's just, well, they call it laziness.
And digging a bit deeper, the impact they see goes way beyond just, digital cash. It apparently trains a sovereign mindset.
A sovereign mindset. What does that mean exactly?
Well, it fosters discipline, thinking about security, long-term planning in the people who hold it. It's why, they argue, you often find core Bitcoiners tend to be, young, fit, ethical types focused on productive change.
Interesting demographic observation.
Yeah, it's not just about storing value. It supposedly refines character, builds self-reliance. And there's this analogy I found interesting. Owning the best Bitcoin and Ether treasury companies is like having Frodo's vest in the age of digital warfare.
Frodo's vest. Mithril.
Exactly. Robust digital protection. Resilient against inflation, censorship, that sort of thing.
So the outlook then, according to these sources, it's pretty ambitious. They're talking a climb to $150,000, potentially without most retail investors even noticing.
That's the idea. Sort of sneaks up.
Then, as maybe some folks start paying attention, it pushes to $200,000.
And that's when the FOMO kicks in.
Right, the fear of missing out. Potentially driving it, they say, all the way to $500,000. A $10 trillion market cap.
Huge numbers.
There is even this concept mentioned. Quadratic growth in demand equals 5.8 power law growth in price.
Right, which basically means even a small increase in demand can cause these massive price swings. It's a dynamic pretty unique to digital assets, apparently.
Okay, so that's Bitcoin. But this raises a big question. Where does Ethereum fit in all this?
Yeah, good question. And the biggest mistake people make is thinking Ethereum is trying to, compete head-to-head with Bitcoin. It really isn't. Ethereum isn't trying to be better money. It's doing something else entirely. It's fundamentally building a new digital foundation for how data, value, and identity move online.
A new foundation?
Exactly. The vision is maybe in 5 years, you won't even know you're going on Ethereum-powered networks, banks, logins, apps. They'll just run on these new programmable rails.
So it's much more than just another crypto token then. It's infrastructure.
Precisely. One source called it the infrastructure play of the decade. For AI, finance, gaming, social, Basically building the pipes for the next version of the internet.
Got it.
And look, we've actually seen two really big wins recently for wider digital asset adoption, things that speed this all up.
Oh, yeah. What were they?
Well, first, this Genius Act passed in the House of Representatives, a significant legislative step.
Okay.
And second, Trump announced he's getting ready to open up the massive U.S. retirement market that's like $9 trillion to Bitcoin and other crypto investment.
Wow, $9 trillion. That's
Yeah.
potentially huge.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, just for context, think about this. There are about 4.3 billion digital wallets out there right now. Compare that to maybe 150 million online brokerage accounts.
Big difference.
Huge potential. The total crypto market cap is hovering around $3.7 trillion.
Huh.
Bitcoin's about 62% of that, falling slightly, around $2.3 trillion itself. Ethereum is getting close to $420 billion.
Yeah.
So you can see, compared to traditional finance, there's just immense room to grow.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. It connects to this powerful feeling we kept seeing in the sources that the entire system is broken, especially for younger people.
Yeah, that definitely came through.
We saw one comment, someone saying, look, buying a house feels impossible for most young people, so what do? They buy a Glastonbury ticket instead. It's like this rebellious energy.
Absolutely.
This drive to just say, you know what, screw it, we'll build our own thing.
Precisely. And that frustration, it's not just talk. It leads people to actually build around the existing systems they feel are broken. You see 19-year-olds building AI apps instead of, climbing some corporate ladder.
Right, or bootstrapping their own software company.
Exactly. When you lose faith in the old ways, you start creating new ones, often decentralized ones.
And you see this playing out really clearly in finance, don't you? Young people ditching legacy banks like Barclays and HSBC.
For slick, tech-driven options like Monzo and Revolut, yeah, absolutely.
It's happening right now.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, the financial pool is pretty obvious. I mean, why would you keep your money in a traditional bond fund earning maybe 4 or 5%? When you could potentially swap it for a crypto yield-bearing stablecoin getting 10% or more.
Mm-hmm.
There was this example. Mabel finances Syrup USDC.
Okay.
Connect your wallet, click a button, boom, you're earning over 10% instantly. And if you want out, it takes 2 days.
Compared to traditional finance.
Which can be, let's be honest, a total slog. Forms, bureaucracy, waiting days, sometimes months for funds to clear. It's night and day.
So it completely changes the risk calculation for younger investors, right? They're losing faith in the old system and they want efficiency control.
Exactly. It's a major shift.
Which kind of leads us nicely into DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks.
Right.
The idea being that our current internet infrastructure built by these huge companies, it's very centralized. And that creates problems, doesn't it? Fragility, control issues.
Absolutely. And DePIN, well, the core idea is it seeks to shift control of physical infrastructure into the hands of ordinary users.
Ordinary users controlling the internet's plumbing.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's boosted by blockchains like Solana, which can provide this really fast global consensus on state with sub-second synchronization.
Okay, so it's technically feasible.
Increasingly so.
Mm.
And the vision is pretty profound.
Yeah.
Each household not only uses, but actively contributes to the internet's foundational infrastructure, making a truly decentralized internet seem, as one source put it, increasingly inevitable. It's another example of building new systems around the ones people feel are broken or too controlled.
Okay, let's pivot now. Geopolitics. Big shift. Starting with this, well, pretty contentious proposal about Trump's potential strategy in Ukraine.
Yeah, that one definitely raised eyebrows.
We saw basically two ways people are reading it. One view, it's just warmongering idiocy, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
The other view, maybe it's actually strategic play, designed to make Trump look good later if he brokers some kind of peace deal.
Right, setting the stage.
The plan itself, as detailed in the sources, involved phase 1, sending hundreds of these JSSM-ER missiles to Ukraine for strikes on Moscow and St. Petersburg.
Pretty aggressive.
And then a phase 2 if Putin doesn't agree to a peace deal, using Tomahawk long-range missiles to hit industrial centers deep inside Russia in the Urals.
I mean, it's a very high-stakes scenario being discussed there. Yeah, and it's such a complex picture, isn't it? Especially when you factor in other big geopolitical moves that maybe don't get as much press, like the Assedian Detente that's held apparently for good reason.
Right, less visible diplomacy.
And in that whole context of shifting power, there was that quote from Xi Jinping, "We do not seek to rule the world only to liberate it from those who believe they own it." That definitely speaks to a certain perspective on challenging the existing global order.
Shifting gears slightly, but still on leadership, John Cleese had this quite brilliant observation about Trump. He called him pronoid.
Paranoid.
Oh.
The opposite of paranoid.
Exactly, believing everyone likes him, but with no real basis for it, which Cleese contrasted sharply with the British ideal of a gentleman.
Oh, okay.
You know, modest, well-mannered, self-deprecating, quietly smart, considerate. He used Gareth Southgate as the example.
Right, the England manager.
And the general British feeling described towards Trump was, well, pretty negative, precisely because he's seen as the total opposite of those qualities.
Interesting cultural contrast there. And
Yeah.
this kind of feeds into the economic realities people are facing, this thing sometimes called FIIROT.
Fiat rot.
Yeah, the decay of traditional currency value. And it's pretty depressing when you look at some traditional portfolio numbers. The 2025 ARC private client portfolio benchmarks.
Yeah, how are they doing?
Equity risk was only up 2.44%. The balanced portfolio, 2.53%.
Ouch. That's barely keeping up, if at all.
Exactly. For a lot of people, their traditional investments are just losing purchasing power against the real cost of living.
And swirling around all this, the sources talked about these phobias: Chinophobia, deficiophobia, Russophobia, and cryptophobia.
Yeah, described as rife everywhere. Sell-side reports, Twitter, Substack.
It's just widespread fear and negativity.
But then you get this stark contrast from the Nutstuff team. They report they're actually liking this environment.
Really? Why?
Well, they've apparently achieved plus 16.5% year-to-date performance. And crucially, they say it's with asymmetric and uncorrelated alpha.
Meaning their returns aren't just following the general market?
Exactly. They're finding unique opportunities, providing diversification. They even mentioned having 5 stocks that are up over 130% just this year.
Wow. Okay, so a very different approach. Clearly paying off for them. Looking beyond the conventional wisdom and those phobias.
It seems so.
So where does this leave us thinking about the future? Let's touch on quantum technology. Its implications sound profound.
Yeah, really profound. And it was interesting to see the contrast drawn between AI and quantum.
So.
Well, AI was described as, artificial. It's derivative. It reflects our own biases back at us like a digital mimicry loop.
Okay.
Quantum, on the other hand, was portrayed as organic. It is intelligence, natural, probabilistic, more in tune with how reality actually works at a deep level.
So not artificial, but natural intelligence.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And there was this powerful line, quantum eats passwords for breakfast, not to threaten the world, to restore balance. The suggestion being that quantum isn't a feature of our world, it is the world.
Restore balance.
By undoing artificial constructs, maybe, like passwords, old power structures that rely on secrecy or control, it implies a return to a more natural order.
Which then leads to this really interesting paradox at the edge of real tech change.
Yeah.
The idea that the most powerful, truly game-changing technologies like artificial general intelligence or distributed quantum computing, they inherently threaten the status quo, right? They threaten existing margins, control, and scarcity economics.
Absolutely. They're fundamentally disruptive.
So the insight was that the big incumbents, say a Microsoft, they would only unleash something that disruptive if they felt they could get to ride it. Meaning, if they can somehow own or control the replacement system, the dragon only gets released if they're the ones riding it, basically.
That makes a certain cynical sense, I suppose. And that deep thought actually connects to something much more practical but strategically vital. This theme of non-China connected hardware and edge computing.
Okay, like what?
Well, owning Raspberry Pi in the UK was given as an example. It ties into this bigger geopolitical challenge. How do you build critical stuff, weapons systems, advanced tech, without relying on Chinese rare earth metals?
Right, the supply chain dependency.
Exactly. MPUS was cited as another company grappling with this strategic problem. It's where these big philosophical shifts and geopolitical tensions actually hit the ground in terms of hardware and manufacturing.
Okay, let's bring this discussion maybe closer to home now. Some social reflections, particularly focused on the UK, but they echo these bigger themes of systems changing.
Sounds good.
There's this ongoing debate about lowering the voting age to 16 or 17.
Right.
Which immediately brings up contrasts, doesn't it? Under 18s generally can't buy alcohol, lottery tickets, cigarettes. They can't get married in England without permission. They can't fight in the military. They can't sit on juries.
Yeah, it raises questions about consistency in age limits.
And politically, there was skepticism in the sources that Labor would actually gain much from this change, if it happened.
Well, really, why is that?
The thinking was that other parties, maybe Reform, the Greens, Even Jay Corbyn's new Jezbollah party, as one source colorfully put it, might actually be way more popular with that specific 16, 17-year-old demographic.
Interesting political calculation there.
And there was also this quite poignant analogy used from Memoirs of a Fox-Hunting Man on Holiday. It described this idyllic land swept away by the First World War.
Okay. How does that connect?
It was used to capture a feeling about the UK right now, a sense that the world of, say, the 1990s is just lost, gone, not coming back. Tied into feelings about the country having surrendered to socialism and housing, let's just say grappling with significant social change and population shifts impacting housing and services.
The sense of profound, irreversible change, then.
Yeah, and the economic reality for people in the UK really underlines that sense of a broken system we talked about earlier.
How so?
Well, the Office for National Statistics, the ONS, says the average pay packet adjusted for inflation is basically the same size now as it was back in 2008.
So stagnation for over 15 years.
That's the official picture. But if you factor in what the sources called currency debasement, things like quantitative easing, the fact that gold price is up 200% since then, housing is up 61%.
The hidden inflation.
Exactly. It suggests that headline stagnation actually masks a much deeper, more painful reality, maybe a 40–50% drop in purchasing power for ordinary people.
Wow. So things aren't just stagnant. They've gotten significantly harder in real terms for many.
That's the argument. Stagnation is masking a deep erosion of wealth and opportunity. And just briefly, one final point from the UK social landscape mentioned was the Met Police Chief's statement about black boys in London are more likely to be dead at 18 than white boys.
Right, a stark statistic.
The source provided what it called important context, stating impartially that black boys are more likely to be killed by other black boys, and that this is tragically factual and, in their view, nothing to do with racism. Just presenting that context as it was given in the source material.
Understood. Important to report the context provided.
So, wow, what an incredible range we've covered in this deep dive. I mean, from the absolute cutting edge of digital assets and these new decentralized networks, through the really complex global chess game of geopolitics, those specific insights from the Nutstuff portfolio, all the way to the, frankly, mind-bending implications of quantum tech, and then grounding it back in some pretty sharp social realities, especially in the UK.
It really shows how interconnected all these themes are, doesn't it? Understanding this complex web is, I think, pretty crucial for you listening, just to navigate what's coming. It's a world full of challenges, yes, but also maybe unprecedented opportunities.
Absolutely. The pace just feels like it's accelerating, and these underlying forces are really reshaping things in ways we're probably only beginning to understand.
Yeah, the economic landscape, the social fabric, it's all in flux.
Which leaves us with maybe one final provocative thought for you to chew on. Consider this. How does that rebellious energy, we talked about the energy driving digital asset adoption, driving people to build new tech solutions, how does that fundamentally challenge and maybe reshape these old world systems? Is that challenge more inevitable, more impactful than perhaps we currently appreciate? Something to think about.
Disclaimer. North Breach Limited, Nutstuff trading name, is an appointed representative of Messels Limited, which is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. Nutstuff has made every reasonable effort to ensure the information provided in this communication is correct. But Nutstuff makes no representation nor any warranty as to whether the information is accurate, complete, or up to date. To the extent permitted by law, Nutstuff accepts no responsibility for any errors or misstatements, negligent or otherwise. Nutstuff, its associates, officers, or employees may also have interests in the financial instruments referred to in this information by acting in various roles. The information in this media is confidential. If you are not the intended recipient, you are not authorized to use the information in this media in any way. Nutstuff does not guarantee the integrity of any media or attached files. The view or opinions expressed are the author's own and may not reflect the view or opinions of Nutstuff. Electronic communications carried within the Nutstuff system may be monitored.